If you have been running a business in Nigeria anywhere from 3 years and above, then this video is for you. I'm going to be sharing with you the biggest mistake that kept my business small for 14 years as a Nigerian entrepreneur, and how you should look out for that so it doesn't keep your business small as you go on in this journey. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Erioluwa, and for long you can call me Entrepreneurial Erioluwa. Okay, so on this channel we discuss practical business topics about business growth and everything that helps us to create and build real businesses that are sustainable. And if this is what you like, please hit the subscribe button and turn on your notification bell, because by the end of this video you are definitely going to discover that one thing that you might be doing wrong as a Nigerian entrepreneur right now, and you would actually find a way not to continue in it. So without any further ado, let's get straight into the video for today. So today I'm going to be telling you about a mistake that I discovered. Okay, it kept me working, it kept me going on, it kept me actually smaller. And the scary part is that for 14 years I actually thought that I was doing everything right in my business. Okay, let me just say today's lesson is actually one of the probably most personal lessons I've ever shared, because it actually brought me to one of the things that has kept me really small for the past 14 years. Okay, so let me just give you a brief reference. So every year as my birthday approaches in August, I usually spend some time reviewing my life, okay, reviewing my goals, reviewing my progress, reviewing where exactly I am, compared to where I thought I would be or where I wanted to be. So this year was no difference. Okay, but you know what happened? This year felt a bit different from the usual. Maybe because I'm getting older, okay, or maybe because after a certain age you begin to see time differently. Okay, as I sat down reviewing the year so far, I found myself asking some more questions than I've ever asked myself before. Questions that are beyond just money now, questions beyond just business growth, questions beyond just survival. I mean, questions about significance, questions about purpose, questions about legacy. And that was when I started reviewing my entrepreneurial journey. Looking from the outside, you can just tell me, you are a successful entrepreneur, you're very successful. And honestly, I would have agreed with you, okay, because for years that is actually how I've measured success. Can the business pay bills? Can the business solve problems immediately? Can the business support my needs? Can the business generate income when needed? If the answer was yes, then obviously I would have assumed that everything was fine. Okay, and to be fair, to be very honest, that is how I think many entrepreneurs think, especially here in Nigeria. Let's be honest. In Nigeria has a way of making survival feel like the ultimate achievement for anybody. Because when you see hikes in prices of things, say fuel, say inflation, you are just thinking about survival. When electricity disappears, like for the 6th time in one day, you are definitely thinking about survival. So, naturally, many of us in Nigeria build businesses around immediate needs, around rent, school fees, ashrebi, family responsibilities, unexpected expenses, emergencies that you did not even put in your budget from the beginning. And so before you know it, years have passed by. You are solving problems after problems, needs after needs, expenses after expenses, okay? And you are using the business money to survive through all these experiences. So because this business money is helping you to survive, you actually assume the business is growing. But really, are those two really the same? That's the question that stayed in my head. Suddenly, I just began noticing something, that most of my business decisions over the years have actually been driven by immediate needs. Needs like, if I need money, I make sales. If I need to contribute for my cooperative contribution, I make sales. If I need to handle emergencies, I just get something some of my products to sell, just make sales. If I need to buy more equipment, I just make sales. Every problem, I just make sales again and again and again. And honestly, there is absolutely nothing wrong with making sales, okay? Please. But the problem is what I discovered when I looked beneath all of that. Because actually, for the first time, I asked myself a question that genuinely, unsettled me. So, if all my immediate needs disappear tomorrow, what will still be driving my business? I sat quietly for a moment because I wasn't sure I liked my own answer. And maybe that is a question that you, as an entrepreneur, especially in Nigeria, should think about too. So if all your immediate needs should disappear tomorrow, what exactly will still be driving your business? Will there still be a mission? Will there still be a vision? Will there still be a purpose bigger than yourself, your immediate needs? Or will everything just come to a stop? So that question actually hit me harder than I expected, because it forced me to look beyond revenue. It actually forced me to look beyond customers. It forced me to look beyond the transactions. And honestly, that's where I started noticing patterns that have quietly followed me for years. And the deeper I looked, the more uncomfortable things became, because what I eventually discovered had very little to do with marketing, very little to do with competition, very little to do with this economy, or even almost everything. It just had everything to do with the way that I have been thinking. And in fact, when I finally saw it, I realized that this one mistake had influenced almost every major decisions that I had made in my business for over a decade. And the most surprising part is that I didn't discover it from a business book. I didn't discover it from a seminar. I didn't discover it from a consultant or something like that. I actually discovered it while reviewing my life, while thinking within myself what my next age will be. And this forced me to think and review my entrepreneurship journey in a completely different way. And honestly, that is one thing that I want you also to come to terms with by the end of this video. So the biggest mistake was not that I lacked customers. No, it was not like that I lacked experience. It was not that I lacked opportunities. No, it was not even that I lacked knowledge or I lacked more products. No, the biggest mistake is actually very simple, and that is that for years I had built my business around my own needs, not around a mission. Now, before you misunderstand what I'm saying, let me explain very well. There is absolutely nothing wrong with wanting your business to make money. Businesses are supposed to make you money. It's supposed to make you profit, and that matters. Cash flow matters. Revenue matters. And if your business doesn't generate income, you don't have a business. That is the truth. You only have a hobby. And I have to tell you that, okay? But that's not what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about is something deeper. For years, most of my business goals were connected to immediate needs. So what happens when a business exists primarily to solve the owner's problems? I don't know if you are connecting with that, because that question sat with me. I now suddenly realized something, that my business has been serving me, but I had not spent enough time asking who the business was serving beyond me. That realization was actually painful, because after 14 years, I honestly expected the problem that kept me small should be something technical, maybe marketing, maybe branding, maybe social media, maybe sales. But instead, the problem was staring at me right in the mirror. In fact, let me ask you this. If you have ever taken money from your business account because it was there and you feel it will be replaced later, I know you're probably smiling right now. If you have probably missed personal money and business money, you might probably be just smiling right now. Because I have a feeling that many of us as entrepreneurs, especially in Nigeria, have visited that location before. In fact, some of us have even bought land with that kind of business money. And for years, honestly, I thought those were probably accounting problems or something, but I honestly see them as vision problem. Now I understand better that it is purely vision problem. Because when you have a stronger vision, you begin to treat even your business differently. You stop seeing it as an extension of your wallet. You start seeing it as something that you are responsible for building. Those are two completely different things, and those are two completely different mindsets. One is asking, what can I take from the business? And the other is asking, what can I build through this business? That distinction changed everything for me once I realized it. A business built only to fund your life may survive, but a business built to improve lives can outlive you. That realization for me, honestly, it just kept me sank in a rabbit hole. I started looking at several entrepreneurs whose influence has lasted beyond their lifetime. And something interesting kept showing up. The people we still talk about years later, after they are long gone, usually built something bigger than themselves. Not just wealth, not just products, not just companies. They actually built impact. They built systems. They built institutions. They built ideas. They built movements. Honestly, I suddenly just find myself asking another very uncomfortable question. So if, for instance, I just disappear tomorrow, what exactly would remain? Not a comfortable question, right? But it's an important question. Will people still simply remember that I sold products? Or will they remember that I solved problems? Will they remember that I made sales? Or will they remember that I made impact? I mean a difference. And the more I thought about that, honestly, the more I realized that many entrepreneurs are so busy running their businesses. We are just moving, we are busy, we are occupied day after day, doing the same thing, hustling. But are we intentionally building? Activity and progress are not the same thing. And that's the honest truth. See, that realization alone was worth the entire exercise for me. I now measured my success so far in the past years by activity. I've measured by activity all my success. I've served customers. I've given fulfilled orders. But now I'm asking different questions about my business, about this entrepreneurship journey. Questions like, what impact exactly is my business creating? And that was when something unexpected actually happened. The answer actually started changing the way that I now see everything, the way I see the products, the way I see my customers, the way I see the opportunities, even the future of this particular channel, Entrepreneurial Erioluwa. Because once I started looking at my business through the lens of impact instead of income alone, I discovered something that I had never clearly seen in the times before. This is something that had been hiding under the surface all along. That was where everything now started connecting, okay? So once AI helped me to clarify my business, helped me to define the vision, identify my impact, define the mission, and seeing the many opportunities that I was not even properly seeing before. Honestly, I could no longer pretend that business was simply about making money. The truth, honestly, is that every entrepreneur eventually reaches a point where they must answer a very vital and important question. Is this business only here to serve me, Or am I building something that can serve others long after I'm gone? Something like Coca-Cola, something like all those bigger businesses, KFC, because when I look like my business over the past 14 years, I realized I spent most of my time trying to get my business to be a source of income. And honestly, again, there's nothing wrong with that. We all have responsibilities, we all have bills, we all have needs, we all have families. But somewhere along the line, I had underestimated the possibility that my business could actually become something bigger than my own personal needs. That if I had channeled the same energy that I now know from the past 14 years, I could have been building something more impactful. And that brought me to the realization of one story in the Bible about Peter's boat. Peter was also a businessman. He was a fisherman. He was an entrepreneur. But Peter's boat was something he used every day, something familiar, something that smelled of fish, something common, something he was used to every time. But immediately Jesus stepped into that boat, Peter discovered that what he considered ordinary could become a platform for extraordinary impact. You see, the same boat that Peter was using for fishing, to packing fishes, now became a platform to reach out to several people. And till today, we are still talking about that boat. And I think many entrepreneurs should start thinking about their businesses like that, because many times, sometimes that your tailoring business is more than just a tailoring business. That your baking business is more than just a bakery. Honestly, sometimes what looks ordinary in your hands can become extraordinary when it is connected to a bigger purpose. And honestly, I believe that is one of the greatest responsibilities of entrepreneurship, to actually discover how the gifts, skills, opportunities, experiences, and resources that God has placed in your hands can become a blessing to other people. And that is why, even on this channel, Entrepreneurial Erelua, we are entering a new phase. See, going forward, I just don't want to keep talking about business ideas. I just don't want to keep talking about starting businesses. I just don't want to keep talking about making money. See, those things are important, and honestly, we'll still discuss them, all right? But I want to go even deeper. I want us to explore what it looks like to intentionally build businesses with purpose, businesses that create opportunities for others to survive. To thrive, businesses that solve meaningful problems, and businesses that can ultimately outlive their founders. So more importantly, I'm going to be documenting that journey publicly. I'm going to be using my own personal business as the case study. You're going to see the decisions I'm making, you will see the mistakes, you will see the lessons, you will see the wins, you will see the changes. You will see what happens when an entrepreneur actually decides to stop operating on autopilot and start building intentionally. And if you're watching this right now and you're someone who has spent years, let's say from 3 years, 5 years, 10 or even 15 or more years in business, and recently you've started asking yourself deeper questions about your life, your future, your impact, and your legacy, then I genuinely believe that you're going to find value in this journey. Because at some point, every entrepreneur realizes that time is moving. And if that is exactly where you are right now, I think you're going to enjoy what we are building here together. So if any part of this message actually resonated with you, please let me know in the comments. What is one thing you want your business to be remembered for? Not what it sells, not how much money it makes. No. What do you want it to be remembered for? I would honestly love to read your answers, because I think that question alone can change the direction of any business. If you found value in this video, please give it a like. Please make sure to hit the like button and share this with another entrepreneur, and subscribe if you have not done that already, because in the next video we're now going to move beyond this realization stage and move into the implementation stage. Okay, so I'll start sharing with you the practical changes that I'm making in my own personal business right now, and as I begin aligning it with this new vision. So make sure you are subscribed, okay, turn on notification, and do good to please Share this video with another entrepreneur. Share it on Facebook groups where entrepreneurs are. This journey now is no longer about running a business. It's now actually about building something that matters. See you in the next video.
Discover, start, grow, build your business strong, gain clarity, learn structures and strategies with entrepreneurial Arialua.